The truth of Frogger finally revealed. They didn't stop making his video games. They didn't stop after a while. But instead, they, well, he met his ending demise. It's never safe for a frog around a no-face. Hello and welcome to NerdTaku. My name is Wade Universe. I'm a nerd and I like my anime. And in case you hear a humming in the background, I have my fan going because it's pretty warm inside of my bedroom, so I'm just trying to enjoy the, cool, fresh night air if I can. So, what is it about fear that kind of fascinates us so much? What is it about the natural responses of fear that all makes us think different in the world? Maybe you're like me, afraid of heights. Maybe you're afraid of the unknown, so for example, like death. Maybe you're afraid of something rational like clowns or spiders. But everybody had been through a fearful event at least once in their life. At least. Such as today's topic with the Hayao Miyazaki film, that is one of my favorites and also has one of my favorite protagonists in all films. And that is Spirited Away. And keep in mind, there is a lot to cover here, so I'm just gonna try to get through it, so to speak, as quickly as possible, but also in the best way I can. Spirited Away is not just a beautiful animated film. I mean, by far that is what it is in a wholesale, but there's a lot more to Spirited Away than just beautiful animation. There's an epic story to be told in this adventure, and well, hell, I mean, this story has something really good for it, for what it's worth, especially involving a little girl. Despite how you look at Sen in this movie, you cannot lie to me and say you haven't been in a certain situation like this, where you've had this fearful event. And for what it's worth, for Hayao Miyazaki to get the point across, he wanted to do so, in the best way possible by telling a story when the character learns something. And god damn it, Miyazaki, you teach us in the best way possible. You teach us in a beautiful animated film with quite the story on top of it. Now, during an old video of mine, and this is a video I've done way back, I've actually have talked about my top 5 favorite Miyazaki films, and I think Spirited Away on that list was number 2, and with good reasons. It's not my favorite Miyazaki film of all time, by far standards, but it does sit high up upon my favorite animated movies list, too. I meant to review this quite a while ago, and the reason why I never reviewed it or talked about it yet is because, well, I didn't know where to start, and I didn't know where to do this film justice, so to speak. But, on top of that, I'm just gonna dive in, and I'm just gonna talk about this film and why personally I think it's so beautiful and why it needs to be seen more. And if I get your attention, hopefully you'll pick it up and you'll see it soon. We begin the story of Spirited Away by introducing us to our main heroine, Chihiro, going to a new place, so she's quite scared, but also just from her body language you can tell she's quite depressed. Again, despite how you look at Chihiro, we all know that she's a little girl, she's going through a hard time in her life, and we can all relate to her in a sense. Things aren't made better when her parents decide to make a pit stop at a bridge that they want to investigate. Chihiro said no, but her parents want to investigate anyways. Which leads them into a beautiful another world. A world that they can understand, but probably not a world that they know exists. But it looks beautiful nonetheless. Her parents become addicted to some food that they see. Not for them, it's food for the spirits. But do they care? Hell no, they just dive with it anyways.
Don't worry, honey. We can pay the bill when they get back.
Good plan. Hey, that looks great.
I wonder what this is called.
What's funny with this scene in particular is that the parents are acting like a child and Chihiro's acting like an adult, which is pretty funny to see. But suddenly, in a weird turn of events, the world starts to come alive. In the weirdest way possible after Chihiro's parents start to eat the food. What's more is that her parents are transformed into giant pigs. Much to her horrifying, and look at how much they've eaten. Jeez. I'm certain that we're all familiar with the term you eat like a pig or you eat so much like a pig. Well, this is basically where the joke is going. Her parents ate so much that they literally became pigs. All I can say is, it's good bacon in the morning. But because Shihiro's not a part of that world, she starts becoming transparent, or translucent in fact. So what ends up happening? Well, she ends up being saved by Haku. And Haku tells Sen that if she wants to stay alive, she needs to follow his instructions to go to the boiler room and meet my favorite character of the film, Kamaji. But not before we have a little bit of Scooby-Doo hijinks, and also one of the funniest scenes in the movie. And in the boiler room, Chihiro ends up meeting the boiler man himself, Kamaji. And just look at this beautiful creature. I don't know what it is, but I love Kamaji so much to the point that he became my favorite character instantly when I first saw this film. But again, I can't say why that is. Sen asks him to do a job, and all of a sudden she's helping out a little soot ball from my neighbor Totoro and carrying a piece of coal over to the furnace. But eventually she's soon found by a woman by the name of Liz. Liz is sort of like her big sister slash mother figure in the film, and she ends up finding out that Sen is a human, not what everybody else thinks that she is. So she ends up paying a visit to the witch of the world named Yubaba, begging her for a job. Of course, after her big baby starts making a havoc, Yubaba says that she can have a job. But this is where the movie really starts to shine, because we pay attention to Chihiro, or Sen as she's later on known in this film, because she's just a little girl going through a world of pain. Her whole life is falling apart around her. She's trying to keep it all in, keep it contained, trying to figure out what's going on. But at the same time, she's just a little girl, and she doesn't know how to handle it. But to be fair, she handles it much like an adult would, trying to keep on to a hold of herself with the whole situation, not losing herself to the stress and anxiety of everything around her. On Chihiro's first night at the job, they are soon met by this delightful fellow that looks like Muck or Grimer from Pokemon. It turns out that the disgusting creature, seriously, do we need to call him that, is actually a water spirit in disguise that was just overrun by a bunch of trash. Huh. Feels very similar to an environmental message that was in another Miyazaki film, but for the life of me, I just can't put my finger on what it is. How did that get in my hand? I think I'm magical. But things aren't any better when they meet a character under the name of No Face, who you saw at the beginning of this for the opening joke. No Face is a demon that is kind of weird. No Face wants a friend and he wants Chihiro to be his friend. But also he wants to give her something, so he decides to make gold out of his body. But Chihiro doesn't want it. And like a calm, rational person, No Face ends up killing a bunch of people. Much to their horrifying amusement, I'm sure. This is when Sen meets Yubaba's other sister, Zubaba. The problem is that Zubaba's actually nice, where Yubaba's actually, well, more or less she's a bitch, I suppose. But before Sen leaves, she has one job, to try and calm down No Face. Which honestly makes it the best part that a little girl is telling off a spirit and telling him to stop being a jerk. And this is where we reach everybody's favorite scene. The scene where Chihiro rides a train. I'm not kidding. This is just the part of the movie where it's like, okay, everything that's ridiculous that happened, let's acknowledge it, but let's go on a nice little train ride with some nice music too. In the meantime, Sen is granted to meet Zubaba, the sister of Yubaba, who's actually nicer. It's sort of like the Wicked Wishes from Wizard of Oz. But everything that she worked up for that moment suddenly becomes alright. No Face becomes a friend of Granny's, Haku is not going to die, and Sen can go back in time to save her parents. So after Sen saves her parents, her and Haku say their farewells and their goodbyes, since that Chihiro will be going back home, and so will Haku. The funnier part is that the film ends like this, where she just meets her parents, suddenly forgets about the world that she left behind, and then they suddenly go back to the real time. But something's off.
What is it?
It's all dusty inside, too.
Is this someone's IT machine?
Mostly.
But after noticing that strange odyssey would happen, Chihiro kind of reflects back on what just happened. But she's ready to face on that whole new world of challenges because she faced all her fears. Despite how you feel about Spirited Away, you can't disagree that it's not just a beautiful animated film, it's one of the best animated films, period, to ever come out in recent years. And even though this came out in, 2001 or 2002, it still holds up to this day. Spirited Away holds up till to this day as a lot of people's most favorite anime film, and it's good reason to see why. It holds up because of the strong message it leaves behind, with a strong female protagonist to boot. If you've never seen Spirited Away before, I highly recommend just checking it out at least once if you're curious. Just sit back and enjoy the good times and the good adventure with Chihiro and the rest of the cast. So it's not exactly hard to see why I hold up to this film so much, because also I relate to Chihiro in a lot of ways. I've been through a lot of, well, a lot of things like this little girl has, and I don't feel like getting into it, but it's all personal stories, I'm just saying. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hopefully I gotten you curious to check out Spirited Away if you haven't yet already. And next time, I think I should go back to a review that I'm not too happy with. It was a film that I decided to give a second chance because I was a little too harsh on it the first time around. So next time, I think we deserve another look at this film and see if my opinion change or if they don't. Just wish me luck on getting past that one, because I think my opinion might not have changed that much. Until next time.